Be friends. We will be friends till the end. We will swear to never pretend that the friendship has to end. We will be friends. We will be friends till the end. We will swear to never pretend that the friendship has to end. We will be friends.
Yeah, we never know each other growing up. Now back in grade school on the bus. Yeah, we used to lie about busting nuts. Way back when it was okay to front. We used to rap on the lunchroom table. We used to go and rob the trains on the cable. We used to go and rob them niggas for their cable. Living life fast, spending life on the cradle. I wonder when our friendship became fatal. Was it the day you chose to become a cop? Or when you chose to make my baby mama belly pop? Or was it when you chose to drop down on the spot? Either way, it don't matter, cause that's the way it is. You was real cool back when we was kids, but it really don't matter, cause it really don't pay. I'll tell you what, I ain't fucking with you anyway.
Be friends. We will be friends till the end. We will swear to never pretend that the friendship has to end. We will be friends. Be friends. We will be friends till the end.
Islam, and greetings, Moors. Welcome back to another episode of Pardon the Interjection. I'm your host, Supreme L. And I want to give high honors, extremely high honors to your prophet, my prophet, our prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and all the active Moors. It's truly a beautiful time to be alive, Moors. Here on Pardon the Interjection, we dig up information to divulge to the people in the uplifting of a fallen nation. And yes, we have fallen. But now is the time we all are getting up, and we're getting up in droves. And I want to be the first one to say thank you, Moors. Thank you, sleepy-headed Moors, for waking up. Now, we have a beautiful show today with our most honorable guest. And I will have him on the line here real shortly. And if you give me a quickie. And trust, it will be a beautiful one that you will enjoy. Greetings, man. We have on the line your good brother, my good brother, and all honors due to him, my brother, Aseer, the Duke of Tears. What's going on, my good brother?
Peace, brother. How are you today? Thanks for having me on.
Blissful. Thank you for coming on, brother. It's been a long time coming.
Inshallah. All is well with everybody.
Good. Great. How's the family?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
How's the family? Everybody's good?
Inshallah. Can't complain. I just celebrated 45. Just turning 45, so trying to just stay above it, you know what I mean? Islam.
Now, I know I'm not going to take up much of your time today, but I just want to get at least 30 minutes because I know I want to, up to you, get back and do a part 2 to this. But I want to first go in with the first question, if you don't mind. How did you get into first the music? Because I just played one of your songs on the intro, and again, like I said, it's beautiful.
Thank you, man.
It's beautiful, more.
Thank you, Noel. Thank you, man. I came up in it, like everybody else did. Grow up listening to. Once I heard Rakim, that was it, I thought I was going to be a rapper, and I never looked back. Like, that's really, other than art, all I ever really wanted to do was do music.
Islam.
Specifically hip-hop,
Right.
But, as you know, as you get older, Allah puts different things in your path.
Yes.
And I was also into like my mother and them put me into like modeling and stuff like that.
Okay.
So one of the last big things for that was when it came down to me and Alfonso Ribeiro for that Michael Jackson commercial.
Right.
The one where he got burned up on. Remember that one?
Right.
Right. It came down to me and him, and the last minute, praise Allah, they decided to go with him, and that was like kind of like my last thing dealing with that. But in terms of the music, also my dad, bless the dead, he was a manager for a lot of different groups. MC Trouble, bless the dead, Eric B. Rakim, like I mentioned, SWV, like a lot of people came up in the game up under him. Wow. But because he wasn't in the you know how they say a lot of these people be involved in rituals and stuff like that. Right, he wasn't really involved with that. He was too busy trying to be a player. So I guess while like Berry Gordy and the rest of them was out there going to their little rituals, he was the dude trying to smash they wives and stuff, you know. Right, so he never, bless the dead, moved up in it like he was supposed to. Right. You know what I mean? Because I don't think that was so much of his goal. He just was really into the music and really into the ladies. Right. You know, for lack of a better word. So. Right.
Islam.
You know.
Islam. And I wanted to ask you about that. Wow, you was one of the last ones before Alfonso in the Pepsi.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It literally came down to me and him, and they used to have us on standby because the agency I used to be in, or used to be a part of, was called Joe Jordan Talent Agency. So you would go to all these different interviews, and then like right beforehand, it would come down to you and you or the person. They would, like, you'd have to be on what they call standby, because how they want to do you is like they always want to just throw you in it. So it's like you don't have no time to really think about nothing. You know, when I look back on it now, that's how it was. Right. My moms and them had the bag packed by the door. They was like, yo, if they call, we gonna go. And you know what I'm saying? Right. And they was more hyped for it than me. You know what I'm saying? So when they finally decided to go with Ribeiro, there was a part of me, I think, that was relieved. Not that I knew what was going on or any of that, but, you know, keep it real, at that age, all I wanted to do was toy commercials. You know what I'm saying? Right. So those were only the real ones that I wanted to ever do. Right. But of course, I never got any. So by the time it came down to this thing, everybody was into Michael Jackson back then. Right. You know what I'm saying? It was all moonwalking and all that. But eventually, you know, Allah decided that they was gonna go with him, and then that was it. Right. Thank God.
Right. Islam.
So I dodged that bullet.
I know that's right, Sheik. No, that's gonna lead us into our second question. So around what age was this, and when did you get into the movement? Because me personally, I listened to you, brother, from way back. I mean, when I was first listening to Dr. Dilbert Blair, Islam, and you know, you would pop up, and I was like, oh wow, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, Aseer, wow, but this brother is really informative. Like, and yeah, I seen you when you was doing lectures in New York. You know what I'm saying? I seen the ones.
Oh yeah, man, you already know that was like that. The New York era was the beginning of it all, but it was also the end of it all for me. In the sense that a lot of the stuff that I learned, like I learned the game. Well, I got knowledge of self through the Nation of Gods and Earth, piece of the Nation of Gods and Earth. Okay. So I had already been somewhat politicized or radicalized through that. Mm-hmm. So my grandmother, bless the dead, she was a heavy Eastern Star, like a heavy witch. You know what I mean? Involved with a lot of like real whack shit. But little to my knowledge, she was also grooming me to understand the occult. Right. To play whatever role I guess I was supposed to play in her little situation. Right. But that never popped off, because once I realized what was going down, that caused a wedge between me and her, and then that's when everything started, going. Like most people, most males, I mean, I guess it happens to our females, but it's speaking to the so-called black males or original melanated males. You get to a certain age, and your mother becomes like a woman,
right,
or your grandmother becomes a woman, so you start to see the motivations that they have. That's not really predicated upon you from a what you call it perspective, from a straight love perspective. So now you become part of whatever agenda, you know what I mean, that men and women have with each other sometimes.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it created a situation where, hold on a second, Sheik, I'm sorry.
No worries. Take your time, more. We can do it right. We can do editing and all that. we can fix it right. No worries.
You got it. So long story short, sorry about that, Sheik.
No worries.
It created a situation in me where she wound up going out with the ambassador to the Gambia, the attaché to the ambassador to the Gambia. He was a straight African in the crib. So this is around the time I'm getting knowledge of self. Remember we was all wearing African medallions, cowrie shells and shit.
Right.
And I remember coming in there distinctly one day on my, coming straight from like a Farrakhan lecture. You know what I'm saying? And this nigga sitting in the crib, and he see me with my red back and game thing on. He just started laughing at me. And I said, well, Uncle Badu, why you laughing at me? Are you trying to play me? He's like, you keep talking this African. You not no African. He said, none of y'all are Africans, man. He said, stop trying to be something that you're not. He said, you're not African. He said, you more Indian than African. So, you know me, I'm like, I ain't no damn Indian, you know what I'm saying? I'm Public Enemy, X-Clan, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But long story short, he was right.
Exactly.
and the wildness came when I really knew he was right, because then when maybe 5 years later, now I'm heavy into the Moorish science, I'm coming in there, got my first feds, think I'm doing something, I walk in the crib, Granny like, oh, you a Moor now? I'm like, what? You know what this is? You know this? you seen this before? She was like, yeah, I knew a lot of the eels and the bays and the days. I'm like, so then what you sent me to church for? What you tried to raise me a Christian for? Like, I'm heated. Like, I was really mad. I'll never forget that. We had a big argument about that shit. I was like, well, what the hell you done sent me to Baptist school for? Then you sent me to a Lutheran school because it was around the corner. Like, y'all niggas, it's like, what are y'all doing? Wow. So then that's when I realized, again, more that everything come out of something.
Right.
And a lot of times we don't understand that we are generationally promised by our forebears to perform certain tasks that we may not even know.
Right.
You dig?
Right.
And we don't understand how deep that goes in our community.
Right.
We really don't.
Right.
You know? And we suffer from lack of knowledge on all fronts with that. Because then the people that do know, they usually bound by some sort of oath or secret to keep from telling you nothing.
Right.
So then you get knowledge yourself one day, and then one day everybody in the family turn on you. Why is that? Nah, because you wasn't supposed to do that. You're supposed to go into whatever situation they set up for you based on whatever deal they made. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
To keep this status quo thing the way it is.
Right.
Like the prophet said. He said, if you're not careful, Moors will be your own brothers will put you back in slavery.
Islam, more. Islam.
You know?
And that
so, so being the nation gods of earths and all of that was the best foundation I could have, because from there, that was all Moorish science 101 too.
Islam.
Just for the fact they had their own headdress, you know what I mean, their own language, their own mathematical system, their own names. Allah was one of the surnames of the joint. They had the circle 7 in the flag, like it's all there. So the Moorish thing, so when they was always talking about ourself, Lord and Master, I'm thinking they created that. I'm thinking Father Allah created that all by itself. No, you got that from the Moorish Science Temple.
Islam.
So I'm the type of dude to say, well, if that's the case, I acknowledge everything that he did. I acknowledge the 120, acknowledge the 140. That's peace.
Right.
And it just wet my beak to want to get now to the root of this shit. So I was like, okay, well, let me see about the prophet. And then once I started learning about him, I realized, like, oh, okay, so they'll tell me about everybody else in the world but him.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I thought Father Allah was obscure. I thought they obscured that. No, they really obscured the prophet stuff.
Indeed.
You know what I mean?
Indeed.
Everybody told me about Malcolm. Everybody told me about Elijah. Everybody told me about everybody else but the prophet.
Right. Right.
So, inshallah.
Islam, and that'll going to take us into our third question, which was really cool, and I appreciate that. And peace to the mothers, still.
Islam,
and
Islam.
That takes me into the Moorish movement and Prophet Noble Drew Ali. What does that mean to us now in these days and time?
In my opinion, man, it's really us understanding that we are the fulfillment of all prophecy. That we are the basically end all, the be all to our remedies and our problems.
Right.
Meaning that we're in a situation where we literally, for instance, the Moors of America, the Moors of the world, made Black Panther, for instance, the #1 grossing superhero movie ever. So there's never been one that's made more money than this.
Wow.
Right? So due to knowledge, that means then that, but these are the same people that when Birth of a Nation came out, right?
Right.
Niggas wasn't checking for that.
Right.
Matter of fact,
right.
They put out the smear campaign against Homeboy, who did it, Nate Parker, because he allegedly raped that black chick, but then, he married to a white girl.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I'm not saying that he, first of all, let me say that I don't know if he raped a girl or not. I'm just going about the propaganda that they created at the time to stop people from seeing the movie.
Indeed.
Either way, tell you the truth, I boycotted it when I heard it coming out. One, because I knew any black man that's married to a Caucasian woman coming out with a movie about Nat Turner, obviously, is conflicted. So it's not going to be anything in it that I necessarily need to see to confuse me any further.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Islam.
Like, we have to start to protect our own minds from shit we don't need to be paying attention to.
Indeed.
So I already knew from then. I boycott all slave movies, like 10 Years a Slave, 12 Years a Slave,
right?
The Butler, and some of these movies are good, but that's not my history.
Right.
My history is not about being an imported African. My history is about being a prisoner of war. Who, now that the war is in amity and I can go back to my country, that's what I'm doing.
Right.
So the fact that melanated, carbon-rich people throughout the world saw this Black Panther movie and decided that it's better to entertain a future, right? Fantasy. Something that technically is a fantasy based upon the mythic lore from North American autochthonous Moors here and so-called Moors from Africa, the Kikuyu tribe specifically from Africa and Kenya.
Right.
Where they based this whole mythos or whatever on. We would rather give our energy and mental projection to a fantasy than something that we have been led to believe was true. Meaning we would rather give more support to a fantastic element like the Black Panther than to give that same energy to a historical context, because it constantly is putting us in a position to look like goddamn slaves.
Right.
So what does this say to the devil? The devil's looking at it like, well, look, man, bottom line is we want to make money. So the bottom line is the Negroes is tired of seeing themselves as slaves, and they not going to support that shit no more. So we're going to have to now create more movies, right? To visually empower them, because that's what happened. We were visually empowered by the situation.
Right.
And remember, Jews own the shit.
Right.
Right. So the Jews is owning it. So they already know that, one, the crackers is already upset at them, and number two, the Protestant crackers, or what they call the Jews call the Goyim, they know that they still gotta fulfill their obligation. One, their obligation is to build up the shit, what they call the shekels, which is money.
Right.
So anything that's gonna make money, they're gonna make money off of it. Don't matter if it's right or wrong. The cracker, he created a deal with them that they would only perpetuate the system with us looking like we less than human. So now that something has been put into the mainstream, we look the opposite of that. It done activated shit that we done already been saying. So now people like me and you that's been walking around here with fezzes and turbans and shamag and all these years talking about nationality and empire, now this shit makes sense.
Right. Right.
Now it makes sense, and I know it do, because I be out in the street and I be seeing little white kids look at me now, and I be like, oh, this the Wakanda effect. This the Black Panther. Because now I don't look so strange. Now it's even more intriguing. It's like, yo, well, you know what I'm saying?
Right, indeed.
So that's what I mean with the power now that has happened. That they actually they done put us Moors in the primary position. Because really, we the Moors are the only ones that have been talking about the fact that we not slaves from Africa, that we was always here in America, that we was the indigenous, the Algonquin peoples,
right.
all this other shit.
That's
now
right.
You got all these other black people now trying to call themselves Algonquin Americans. Like, me and Yafa Bey was the first people to even bring that word to the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching whole groups. I'm watching whole internet groups calling themselves this shit now.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But that's not a nationality.
Right.
Indian is not a nationality. Indigenous is not a nationality. You dig what I'm saying? Like, none of these things are nationalities.
Overstood.
These are designations.
Overstood,
Yeah.
Sheik.
These ain't that shit. You ain't doing no better. It's like y'all constantly want to go all around the fact that the man told y'all back in 1913 what it was.
Indeed.
And we the only ones. We still saying the same thing, man. And now they catching up. Now the blacks. Now the Negroes. Now everybody's catching up. And what happens now? You got a bunch of so-called conscious people in the community or whatever still pushing this Pan-African shit.
Right.
Meanwhile, the Africans is taking $20 million from the United States to open up 20 military bases in their country. Like, Ghana, what the hell's wrong with you?
Wow.
What's wrong with you?
Wow,
They taking
please,
$20
more.
million.
Sheik,
More.
please repeat that again, because I don't think the family really grasps that. Please repeat that
more.
again.
They want you to be an African American so bad, but these Africans don't make good choices either.
Mm-hmm.
They're not making the best choices neither. How you got your own country where you can keep niggas out, and you letting the United States come in there to build 20 military bases. This is in Ghana. 20 military bases, and they only giving you $20 million. That's
Right.
$1 million per base.
That's right.
You understand the cost to maintain one military base?
Right.
Is at least $1.5 million a month.
That's right.
A month. They ain't giving these niggas nothing, and
Those
they
pennies.
taking it like it's all good.
That's pennies.
Yeah, more that ain't no money. And like I said, you got your own country. You just kicked the colonists out. You letting these niggas come back in to open up 20 bases?
Wow.
Do you realize with 20 bases, these niggas can take over the whole country?
Indeed. Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Take over the whole country.
Yes. And that's the agenda.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the agenda, Sheik. That's the agenda
what it
right
is.
there.
And they want us to pattern ourselves like them, but I wouldn't make no choice like that.
No.
Give me my own country. See what happens.
Mm-hmm.
See who get to come in. See who get not to come in. Like, you got to be exacting.
I know that's
That's why they
right.
don't want the Moors to get it back, because they know.
Yes.
Or they know.
What the prophet say? You got over 3,000 miles of water to get.
That's it, man. You know what I'm saying? You got a ways to go to get this thing how you want it to get, but then at the same time, like I said, they want you to always pattern yourself after somebody else. But the people they trying to get you to pattern yourself after, they done locked themselves up to be fucking willing slaves.
That's right.
That's willing slavery.
That's right.
I tell you who not doing that, though. They not asking the president of Chad that. They ain't asking the Cameroon president that, because little is it quiet as kept. Guy in Cameroon got the biggest armies in Africa.
Wow, I didn't know
in
that.
Africa.
I didn't know that.
Nobody mess with them. Yeah,
Wow.
nobody. Nah, they don't mess with them. So,
Wow.
matter of fact, Tillerson, Trump's ex-secretary of state or whatever, he just went over there because they was about to have a meeting. Matter of fact, I was about to go. And they were going to have a meeting, but then they wrote back and was like, nah, we got to postpone the meeting because this white man coming here, this nigga Tillerson, all out the blue.
Wow.
They about to have a Pan-African meeting. Here go this nigga Tillerson. He making a surprise visit. So he get out there and then tell them Africans, look, you got to stop dealing with the Chinese. They're going to take your sovereignty if you miss them payments.
Right.
But then the Africans like, what's the difference between them and you? You do the same shit. You do the same thing.
Right.
Then the next thing happened, he came back to the States, and then the president of Chad, I think he didn't like something he said or whatever and sent a letter to Trump. And that's, Trump fired that nigga.
Wow.
So, like I said, it's really like we're at the best position because now the bottom is about to be the top.
Right.
But those of us with nationality and those of us that's been a part of this divine and national movement of building up the equity in the place you at, we the only ones that's been consistently on it like that.
Right.
Think about everybody in the community, all the platforms that have come and gone.
Right.
You know what I mean? From the time you started watching the stuff till now.
Right.
Because waterfront is level. And a lot of these guys, especially a lot of our elders, unfortunately, as much as they was giving us certain knowledgeable stuff, they was still somewhat tagged in. Because you can't give me real knowledge upon history and geography and stuff, but then you're using Mercator maps to show me what it looked like.
Right.
Like if you look at a lot of the old Black history books and stuff that Clark and a lot of people had or put out and was talking to us about the slave trade and shit like that, they used a lot of the same European maps that these people was using.
Right.
So my thing is like, okay, no doubt. You mean to tell me you knew all of this, but you didn't know that the map was supposed to be upside down? Like, and you're still giving me the same, basically, infrastructure, world view that the cracker was giving me.
That's right.
Why is that? Why is it that if y'all all knew about the Moorish Empire and we could do what we could do to be it, and now how come y'all niggas never talked about this shit?
Right.
Why is it that every so-called leader that has been a part of whatever movement always has some sort of relationship to Moorish Temple? Whether it was Sweet Daddy Grace, Father Divine, Yahweh Ben Yahweh, Reverend Ike, Elijah Muhammad, B.D. Fard.
That's right.
Who else? It's mad at them. Warif Muhammad, everybody that came after the Prophet was affected by the Prophet. We should stop acting like that wasn't the case.
That's right.
They never gave Marcus Garvey no proclamation day in almost every state in the Union. They didn't do that for W.B. Du Bois. They didn't do that for they just did that for Martin Luther King.
Right.
But the Prophet, in almost every state in the Union, they didn't either had a Moorish American week, and Moors they got it in states where Moors don't even know that they Moorish Americans.
Right. That's right. And pardon me, Sheik, I just was doing a show on that when they did that Moorish American Flag Day in Philadelphia.
Yeah, Moor. Yeah, I saw that with that Moor that was on the People's Court.
That's right. He was on the People's. That's right.
That Moor making the rounds. Whoever that Moor is, he's making the rounds, Moor.
Indeed, boy. Indeed. And I love how he broke it down too. He's like, "Is that a hat? I like that hat." He's like, "No, it's a fez."
That's right. You know the game, devil. You know what it is.
Exactly right.
Whenever they say stuff like that, that's the code. They trying to see if you know the jig.
If you know that I know that you know that I know that I know that you know. Okay.
Exactly.
Islam, boy. With that, I know we gonna have to, I'm gonna just go until you, you know what I'm saying, until you can let me know, because I know it's a little bit on here, but I'm gonna go with this. Prior, a couple minutes ago, you said, you can go back to your country. Now, what is or was the USB?
The USB was the United States of Barbary, or the Barbary, what they call the Barbary States or the Barbary Power.
Okay.
The Barbary Powers or the Barbary States were all the Moorish dominions that were consolidated and dedicated to putting the Moors back in power, whether it be in Spain or any of the dominions. So the reason why we don't remember who we are as Moors is because of the Spanish Inquisition, which led to the Reconquista, which led to the Renaissance, which led to the revolution, which led to the Reconstruction. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Which led to the redistribution.
Wow.
And then which led to the reorientation, or what we call the Reconstruction of the United States.
Right.
So when we talk about the Barbary powers, what was happening was towards the end of the empire, my understanding of it. Towards the end of the empire, between let's say 1492 and 1555, you had a group of Moors that were totally deposed to the Spanish, now reorganizing the empire under the Spanish dominion. Now the people that we're calling Spanish that's running it then are the people we would call Spanish today. So when I'm talking about us losing to Spain or to the Spaniards I'm talking about look like Jennifer Lopez and Mark Anthony and these niggas, these Dominican, Puerto Rican type of Latin, so-called Latin people.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? They weren't like the Castilian, Caucasian Spanish people that you're seeing now.
Right.
The Italian, them people, no. The people we lost to look just like us.
Mm-hmm.
And then because they had Caucasian slaves under them, which was part of how they was raised in Europe, those Caucasian slaves basically started to usurp them the same way they usurped us.
Right.
And then we all got brought over here under the forced designation. So long story short, the United States of Barbary were all of the dominions that the Moors, whether they were the Beys, the Days, the Eels, the Owls, the Alis, the Pashas, and the Allahs, those clans, out of those 7 clans, the Beys and the Eels were at the top and the forefront of the war.
Right.
And so what happened was we was enslaving so many Caucasians, so many, that it got to a point they had to make laws to stop Moors from doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't until the Angolan in 1654, an Angolan national named Anthony Johnson took another Moor named Robert Castor to court to own him perpetually, because the Angolan Moors, the Moors from Angola, they were dealing with taking prisoners of war and selling them.
Wow.
Because the Angolan Moors were connected to the Fulani Empire that was there usurping the seat of Songhai and some of the other empires.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, a lot of the Fulani people are going through that with some of the people in the governments, in the West African governments today, with them. But long story short, when he won the right to do that, that then was the first time now that Moors could start to be enslaved. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
On the land.
Right.
And so that led into all of the situations. So by the time the wars in Barbary really was underway, you had Moors that were fighting against the dirty Moors of the decaying Atlantean Moorish Empire. And then you had Moors who were working with the Franciscans, meaning the Caucasians, to break the yoke of the dirty Moors. Because Moors is basically demanding tribute so much that it got to a point where nobody had these crackers ain't had no tribute to give.
Right.
And so because the Moors was like, well, look, you done tributed it. We done tributed it to the point we don't have nothing. And the Moors was like, well, you better find a way to get it. So it forced all of them to unite.
Right.
Against us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. And pardon me, Sheik. I want to ask that does that have something to do with when the letter of George Washington, when he says we have nothing to give to y'all but our labor?
Right.
Okay.
Where he said that he's an attachment to
right. Okay.
the Sultan, making the United States a dependency of the Empire of Morocco.
Gotcha.
But at that time, like I said, they were all slaves of Britain, and Britain was in league with Morocco. So Britain was not going to give them no leave. So when they said that they was going to break away from Britain, they broke away from that, but they still stayed connected to the Vatican and Rome.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Through the sense that we trust.
Right.
So the United States became a third party to advocate for the business venture that was established by the proprietors of the so-called colonies.
Right.
And at this time, there was no England over there across the water. So England at this time was like New England,
right,
the DMV area.
Right.
So at the same time, while that was happening, Barbary at this time was in what we call Louisiana. Like you got Angola, you got Algiers, Louisiana, you got Angola, Louisiana, right? You got they call it the Crescent City, because that's where the Barbary Wars was going down at.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So when they say that Captain Bainbridge went to see the Dey, and the Dey forced them, said, look, you better come up with some more money or we're going to basically enslave you. And that's what started.
Right.
And after Reconstruction, all the lines were redrawn. The boundary lines and everything was redrawn. And then basically made it like the Moorish kingdom was across the water.
Right.
Because all the Moors over here had now been put into this new program, which we were socially engineered.
Right.
Moors or melanated people in America specifically, or any place where people like us exist, we were socially engineered, meaning that we're the only people in the world that don't have no knowledge of the 580 years or 526 years that was deducted from our calendar.
Exactly, that's right.
So we are the only people that's walking around here with a certain amnesia when it comes to our direct history.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was if right now, if I was to knock you on the head and make you forget everything that you were doing from an hour ago, everything you did your whole life up until an hour ago, let me see what you would do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Let's see how you would move on in life or whatever.
Right, right. I basically would accept anything anyone would tell me.
Right. I would have to, because I don't have no backing. I don't have no basis, no parameter to set by which I come from.
Right.
So I gotta rely now on the kindness of strangers.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying?
Right,
To
right.
tell me who I am. And that's what we've been dealing with for the past 100 some odd years. As much as more is talking about reparations and this and that, like, the real issue is the fact that, like I said, we are the only people who can prove that we were socially engineered, that our entire society was created around us to perpetually keep us as a servant slave race.
Right.
For not just the United States, but for everybody in the world.
Everybody.
That come over here and want to live off of the divine birthright that they have said that I've abandoned.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I already had a means to stay within the parameters of the Constitution and enforce it through the preamble to the 7th article. But
Right.
they deaded that part of it and now brought me back into the so-called United States through the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, which I didn't need to do that because the parameters of the preamble to the 7th article still protect me.
Right.
But if I go into the inferior position, then I'm inferior.
There you go.
That means I'm just like a regular citizen of the United States or whatever.
There you go. There you go. And pardon me, I heard you. You talked to the mother. You got to go. We're not holding you up, are we?
No. I'm
Okay,
good.
okay.
She was just handling some stuff.
Okay, no worries. And I got a couple more questions, but I want to save it for the next show. But I want to get these last two in. We talked about the Dirty Moors. We're gonna save that for the second show because I know that's good. I know you got another whole show for that. But
Right.
the proclamation line, and I know you know something about that. The proclamation line. Can you go into what that was and how did that affect us Moors?
The only way that one can say what one is to declare it.
Right.
The declarations can't really be rebutted. It's not like when they came out with the Declaration of Independence, Britain was like, nah, we don't accept that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They had to fight a war to deal with it, but in the end, that's what it was.
Right.
But the act of, or what the Prophet basically did was consolidate a way for us to go back to our own situation of self-autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
by establishing ourselves as a religious body politic and corporate through the so-called temple. But once that was established, what was supposed to happen was Moors were supposed to establish now little towns or little governments, you know what I mean, municipalities,
Right.
that they now could govern themselves in, because now they were now seen as a part of the state.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly.
So, yeah. So in creating that, that was a means, or that's always a means for us to be able to maintain our homogeny amongst ourselves.
Right.
So, like you said, we're not supposed to be taking out our temple cards and all of that to show these crackers, because that just causes more confusion. That's for our salvation.
Exactly.
So if you have your own community where everybody in your community is functioning like you, and you got your own muftis and all that other stuff, then you're not going to really have no problem with the crack. But you don't have that. You see what I'm saying? Because everything that black people do, they do it from under auspices of being black.
Right.
And so that always gives the cracker a way into it, because he's the one that knows that he's basically copyrighted and has basically like used that as a means to have a reason to control people, because anybody that's black is seen as stateless, or is seen as a property-based citizen, which means then that they're a minority.
Right.
and anybody that's a minority is a potential threat to the state because they're a disenfranchised part of the society.
Right.
So they have to constantly be managed, you understand?
Right.
By their own mouth. You never hear Chinese people referring to themselves as yellow Americans.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? You don't never hear these. I mean, you might hear Mexicans now talk about that brown power shit, but even then, when you talk about brown power, it's us.
That's right.
We're the brown people.
That's right.
That's us. The Olmecs was original, the She people of the ancient Levanta and Palenque and the Titucan and all that. All them people was us. The Mexicans know they ain't built that shit. They know they didn't, but they'll act like they did. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But the Aztecs and the Incas, like all of that stuff was black people.
Right.
It didn't become Mexican looking until Pancho Villa days. You know what I'm saying? And even then, we talking about the Anasazi, we talking about the Pueblo people, all them people was black. All them people was Moors. So, the actual act of the proclamation is great. But what we're supposed to be doing is after we declare and proclaim and do all of that, now we're supposed to start to practice group economics to be able to go back, fortify the temple, you know what I'm saying? And then build businesses and communities or whatever around that.
Right.
Same way the Catholics do with the Catholic Church.
Right.
The jurisdiction of Rome is in every one of them churches. That's why police can't just run up in there and do all of that, because the Pope is the king of that stuff.
That's right. Islam. All right, now I'm gonna give you this last question here, and then we definitely got to come back for a part 2 of this, because that's enlightening, more. I'm so enlightening right now. Everything in here is dark but me. But
Islam.
So I've been talking to some sisters, and I had, went over a little something that I don't know much of, but it piqued my interest, because here on Partner Interjection we honor the mothers, and she was talking to me about a Moorish queen, I think, that was here at one time, Kalima. I don't know, you ever heard of her? I know you know about her. Is there anything about the Hindu and the Moors?
Is it Kalima?
Yes, Kalima.
Right.
Kalima. Can you go in a little bit on who she was and what role she played?
Yeah, she okay, remember when the United States invaded Grenada?
Yes.
Okay, well, allegedly one of her descendants was a sister that lived on that island. And they were trying to go in there because she was awakening a lot of the old spirits and stuff that was on the island, to the point where UFOs and stuff was popping up all over Grenada.
Wow.
To the point where they actually put it on stamps. If you go back and look at UFO Grenada stamps, you'll see all of a sudden within this 3-year period of the invasion, they had all of these stamps with UFOs and shit on it.
Right.
Well, that's because a lot of these ancient queens and stuff like that, when we talk about the matriarchy, they say, the Moorish Empire was a matriarchy.
Right.
That don't mean that women was telling everybody what to do.
Right.
That means that society was based upon the preservation of what they call the sacred femme, or the sacred feminine. So the Moabite queen, like Ruth, like when they talk about Lucy,
right?
Lucy is Ruth,
mm-hmm.
But Lucy is not what we think it is. What they're trying to get you to believe is that black people evolved from monkeys like white people.
Right.
And so when they say that Lucy was the first black woman, whatever, you going back and checking it, Lucy is a monkey. And black women or black men did not evolve from monkeys. Evolution is not really our bag. That was another byproduct of the eugenics experiment created by Charles Darwin. And he did that to justify what Marx was saying. But Marx himself was a Moor. I don't know if you ever seen pictures of Karl Marx.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, he looked just like a Rasta or somebody.
Right, that's right.
With his beard and all that, right?
That's right.
But long story short, none of that, all of that was basically there to break apart the male and the female connection. Because the majority of the slave situation that was done to break the men.
Right.
It's not that the women were the byproduct, meaning that we were the ones that protected everybody from everybody.
Right.
So when the black males fell, when the Moorish males fell, right?
Right.
When the Mulays fell, they were the ones bagged up and then put out into the slave situation first to do all of the work.
Right.
Because that was part of the indenture. And then once the chattel situation really got underway, that's when they started now deciding that this was going to be the sociological experiment to never allow the Moorish Empire to rise again.
Wow.
And so all the males had to be castigated and broke down. So then when they finally put out stuff where they was going to stop importing slaves, importing prisoners of war, redesignating them as slaves, so they said, well, we can't do that. So what we'll do is we'll turn these states into stud farms. And then that's when they started creating the situations to form to further retard us genetically, because the goal is to stop us from being able to activate the melanin and do all the crazy ancient stuff we used to do.
Right.
So that's when they used to do the paper bag dozen, where they would put the bag on the young Moor's head and then put him in there to have sex with his mother and his aunt and his grandmother. Or they would put what they call a break barn, where they would just get a male every day, just pick some random male, put him in the middle of the square, tie him down or whatever, and then every white man that would walk by would see him, would rape him. Wow. And then keep it going. And these things was constantly done to further not only break our position in front of our women, but with each other.
Right.
Because we're not dealing with all that homosexuality, all that shit. This is when they started making black males eunuchs. It's when they started cutting off our genitalias and doing all this other type of stuff, because this was now their role, their window to retard humanity altogether by getting rid of who was ruling it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So this is why we're so crazy today, because we've been forced to have sex with our mothers, we've been forced to have sex with our fathers, we've been fucking gang raped, we've been disseminated, castigated, eaten. They used to make what they call nigger toes, like oxtails. They would call them nigger toes. They cut off everybody's toes and then they would barbecue them.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
This is what they do. They would feed our little babies to the gators. They would put us on our children on hooks, throw them in the water, and then have the gator. Same way you would have like a fish with a hook on bait.
Right.
So when you see these black people today talking about how they don't want to be with black women and black women don't want to be with black men, you should really feel good, because those are the remnants of what I'm talking about.
Right. Right.
We got to get that element of them type of people out of our genetics altogether.
Wow.
Because they ain't never going to be right.
Indeed.
When these crackers pick agents, they pick generational agents. So if your grandfather was an agent, they're going to get an agent from the same family. Right. That means your father will be an agent. That means his son will be an agent. That means his son will be an agent. This is how they're able to maintain it all.
Right, that's right. And I can see that too. And it's funny you say something about nigger toes, because from what I'm hearing, my mother say back in the days, they used to call a certain peanut or a certain nut that you get from a tree nigger toe. And it looks like a black ass toe. So
that's right. That's right. It's like picnic. Picnic was the pick a nigga.
That's right.
That's when you used to pick a nigga to go hang, and then they would go hang a nigga, and then they would sit down under the body and have lunch and all of that. And they would cut off the souvenirs of the nigga they wanted. You understand? So what you gotta understand is that these people that are now to this level, all of this ancient hate and ancient angst and ancient whatever that's in them is all coming out now.
Yes.
And now they can't hide the fact that they are a beast race, that they are a bestial race as a people.
That's right.
The only problem is the blacks then devolved themselves to that level now. So so they can't even really talk shit, because they don't follow right behind these niggas like a good dog is supposed to do.
That's right. That's right.
So that's why they have now made themselves disqualified from seeing the great kingdom, because they have now given up and now fallen victim to the same thing that they was trying to say the cracker was doing. So those of us that haven't, we are humanity's last hope.
That's right.
Because we saying that we're not down with any of it.
Islam. Islam.
We're not down with none of it, but everybody owes us.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
everybody owes us, because everybody been living off of our culture, elements of it. You know, that's why us being Moorish Americans, I can be a Muslim and not be one. I could be a Christian and not be one.
That's right.
I could be a Hindu and not be one.
That's right.
Because my peoples is the ones that set all that up for y'all.
That's right, more. That's right, more.
Right? So when you look at the good books and all of these books, and you look at the rulers and the kings and the queens who was basically making it all happen, they look like us. They all wearing feathers, turbans, shamag. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So.
And I know now that we're coming down to the top of the hour, and I want to give you honors and thanks more. You just don't know how elated right now I am to have you on. Just right now, have you here in this moment in time. More, it is truly an honor, truly an honor and blessing. And we got to do a part 2 to this. We got to do a part 2.
Let's do it. Just let me know.
And I got you. So, and this was the time here on Partner Interjection where we say, and I ask you, do you have any shout outs and salutations you want to give at this moment in time?
Oh yeah, man. Thanks and praise to all the ills and bays and their wills and ways. Thank you to everybody that's been supporting me over the years. Who's watched, all the stuff that we've been striving to do and stay consistent with. Also, thank you to all of the members of the MST of A's, you know what I'm saying, all over, whether they 501c3s or not. Like, everybody got a role to play.
Islam.
So we all need to be on the same thing and hating on people because they trying to do what they trying to do. The only time we can hate is if it's not producing nothing for the people. Then we can say something. But so long as Moors is trying to get their stuff together, so long as Asiatics understand that, we have to learn to love instead of hate. People who are Moors, but, are not necessarily declared or whatever, think about declaring it. It's better you do than you not. It's better to die on your feet as a man than continue to live as a slave.
That's right.
Inshallah. The empire is real. You know what I'm saying? Big up to all of the ancestors who referred to themselves as Moors and those who didn't.
Exactly.
Because they was all Moors regardless. You know what I'm saying? And what I also want to say is a lot of the reasons why they hate on Moors is because we're technically the emperors, the empresses, the kings and the queens, the sheiks, the grand sheiks and all of that of the so-called African races.
Islam to that.
So within that, we have a distinct identity that's not predicated on any other continent, on any other person, on any other culture, on any other thing. I don't have to be what somebody else say I gotta be to be this. Islam. You understand? Because my prophet came and dropped something here, and ain't nobody came and done anything outside of it. I ain't never seen nobody come and do anything iller than what the Prophet Ali did.
Islam.
I ain't never see it. And I would be hard pressed to see it. Everything Farrakhan doing, he doing based on the Prophet. Everything Fard did, he doing it based on the Prophet. Everything Father Allah did, he did it based on the Prophet. Everything Marcus Garvey did and all that, he did it based on the Prophet. Because I just found some documentation that said that the UNIA used to be called the Universal National Islamic Association.
Wow.
Which explains why he has so many Moors with him. Which explains why I got a picture of Marcus Garvey with the Prophet and the rest of these dudes in front of their businesses together.
Wow.
Under the Moroccan flag.
Really, more. You need to shop that. You need to shop that to me. Email that to me so I can put it up here on the show as
so
I
I'm
edit.
getting it restored. The sister that the elder, big up Sister Rashida, the elder that got it, she been holding it for over 50 years.
Wow.
This picture is almost 5 feet long.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? It's almost 5 feet long. And but it's deteriorated, so we getting it restored. Once I get it restored for whatever, definitely.
Islam.
All of this is the stuff we need.
Islam, and I got something. I'm gonna fly you something for that too, more. I really want
Inshallah.
that. I really need that. I got you, more. And one time, because we got about 3 minutes. Can you give me an email? Can you put your email on the record, please?
Anybody wants to holler at me for private consultation or anything like that, you can hit me up at houseofl@hotmail.com. That's HOUSEOFEL @hotmail.com. If you'd like to check out any of my DVDs or anything, older DVDs, you can go to Aseer, thedukeoftears.com. And if you want to get any of my later, newer classes that we do online, online classes every Sunday from 9 to about 11 Eastern Standard Time online. If you want to check out some of the older ones that I have for sale, you can check it out. Go to www.gumroad.com and then type in Aseer, the Duke of Tears in the search engine, and then all the classes and stuff will come up. I'm about to upload some new ones this week. And what else can I think of? Yeah, man, big up to our people, our empire, the Sultanate, El Malacanos Estados, and the Imperial Foreign Ministry, of which it's a central government that we've been working to establish for the past since 2014. So big up to everybody that has been involved with the striving to build that. And hopefully everybody can support, man, because really the holdup is we need an embassy. We need an actual real consul, real embassy that can function and handle what everybody needs. And we need to stop putting all the pressure on the Moorish Science Temple of America to work out everybody's issue for them when we're all basically members of the temple as eels and bays, whether we're card carrying members or not. And it's our responsibility to establish communities in conjunction to help support the only indigenous Islamic movement in the world. If it was not for the Moorish Science Temple of America, there would be no Islam in the United States, period. Period. The Prophet, don't bring up the Ahmadiyya movement, because again, the Prophet was in that, and then when he seen that these niggas was talking all of this Moorish science, but it was only applying it to Arabs, he freaked it.
That's right. That's right.
He freaked it and traveled the world, got the respect he needed, and then left us an inheritance. Who done that?
Right.
Who done that for you?
Right.
Who? Nobody.
No one I know.
That's why I don't ever hear about it. That's why
right.
I don't ever hear about them until it's too late.
That's right.
So let's educate ourselves. Let's learn to love instead of hate, man. If all of this Moorish bashing, all this Moor bashing you see on TV, this is the same thing that was going on towards that fall of the empire in 1492. Moors ain't this, Moors ain't that. But it's usually coming from people who either want to be Moors, who is ashamed of it, or who feels like they just need to be against it.
Right.
Because the same people that was hating on you in 1492 is the same people hating on you in 2018. Don't get it twisted.
Islam. And with that, I know we got a minute to say. I want to give you honors again, Moore. Thank you. I give thanks, Moore. And I want to give high honors to you, brother. And high honors to the mothers. And
Islam.
First but not least, last but not first, but altogether, I want to give a big, huge shout out to my prophet, your prophet, our prophet of the people, Prophet Noble Drew Ali Moore. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and let you go, and I'll be waiting on part 2 here real soon with you, Moore, because that Islamic and Noble Drew Ali in that picture, I want to definitely get into that more.
Oh yeah, definitely. I get it. I'll definitely,
Islam.
definitely put it out there.
And thank you, family. Family, we have Aseer, the Duke of Tears. Peace, Moore.
Peace.
And with that being said, I want to say, wow, that was a beautiful show. Beautiful, beautiful, energizing show. And I want to thank again my good brother, co-host, Sheik, Aseer, the Duke of Tears. And we're going to come back with a part 2, because again, that was very, very enlightening. It's an honor to have that brother on here. It's a good brother, very powerful and good brother. As I say, don't believe me, go check it out for yourself, and you'll be amazed at the jewels you'll find on your treasure hunt, Moors. I love you, Moors. Again, it's a beautiful time to be alive. With that being said, I always say to you, as I always do, Islam, love, and peace forever, Moors.
what's going on in this world. You're fully aware and awake to what's going on in the world. That's what conscious rap means. So if you got conscious rap, that means you got unconscious rap. That means you got motherfuckers that's unconscious rap. That means they sleeping. They still under the spell of light. They still under the spell of king.
Call me brother man, I'm not the rubber man. Though I keep my natties in affairs wrapped with some rubber bands. Burning out the Ku Klux Klan and Wizard Grand Dairy Queen misters. Just butts of guns I'm giving, trying to make more sovereign citizens. These minions, they'll kill your prophets, stole your treasury millions. You heard it from your brother man, not a smother sellout. Test links in K2 Kush days, keep me red out. I got the knowledge to make these silly hoes question the pimpin' directors of music videos. Gaylords and persons with strap-on boots with heels. Too much graphic art faces, boobs are not real. Since MCM and Troop, they use Timberland boots to get us all caught up in fashion, not the simple men roots. Got our people on dogmatic, not metaphysic. Exoteric, not esoteric is how you missed it. So out of it you couldn't feel the natural mystic blowing through the air like it didn't give a shit. I hear the dirty Moors dissing, cause I said profanities. A lot of these grand sheiks need to take off the panties. Pull the thong out your crack fez wearing bitch ass nigga. Return to where the prophet found the negro ass nigga.
It's time to choose a side. You either positive or you negative. You either evil or you good. You understand what I'm saying? Choose a side, nigga. I know what side I'm on.
I throw a Molotov at the priest that works for the peace. All they want is our people to rest in peace. No attention of allowing more stress to ease. Cracker won't go home to spread himself the disease. Genocidal epidemic kill us in high proportions. Instead of mummified we stay boxed in coffins. Mayors attend funerals for PR purposes. Where's the police escort? He replied with nervousness. He said, I don't have those numbers or connections to have Metro Police lead your friend's funeral procession. That's coming from Mr. Mayor, black community player. No question in the hoods dropping off boxes of weapons. Then blame black on black crime or natural causes. Plus those doctors are not on point but off a bit. Natural mystics prove they're not holistic. Hypocrite oaths make your children autistic.